Slept on Cinema is sponsored by Training Ties, the ultimate shoe tying tool. If you know someone who's struggling with shoe tying for any reason, Training Ties is the perfect solution. This movie is hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing beginning to end. This is the funniest movie I've seen since Anchorman. Birdie is a hole-in-one. The funniest golf movie since Caddyshack.
Welcome to this week's episode of Slept on Cinema. I'm your host, Stan Steamer.
I'm Grove Street.
And this week we have a special episode. I'm so excited. We have our first real live famous guest of the podcast. Unbelievable, monumentous, keystone episode for us. We have Nicole here with us, and we are diving into Birdies. Now,
yes.
I know this might not be what everyone is expecting, because usually we are only digging into movies that are poorly reviewed on Rotten Tomatoes. This movie has yet to even be reviewed on Rotten Tomatoes. There's no chance it's going to be eligible for our podcast, so we had to get in early on the ground floor. This is going to be great. I can't wait to dive into this. This is just a great film. Can't wait to introduce people to what this is.
So, welcome, Willie. I want to get into how I found out about this movie. So we just moved out here to San Diego and met Liz, who was a producer of the movie. And she's like, oh, yeah, I used to work in like movie stuff. And we had this movie that we put out, Birdies. And I was like, all right, I love movies. That's great. We're there and we were supposed to hang out like the week after. And I was like, all right, I'll give this movie a try. She said it was like an independent movie or whatever. And at the beginning of the pandemic, my wife and I started watching every single horror movie that existed. So we've seen some like independent stuff. We started watching it. 20 minutes went in and we were just like, we looked at each other like, is this a good movie? Because we weren't expecting like a good movie. And then 40 minutes goes by and we're like, holy shit, I think this is a good movie. And then like the rest of the movie, we were just like completely in on it, but I never would have known about it if I didn't talk to Liz.
Yeah, so it is a wonderfully, surprisingly great movie. I've been in a couple movies and I'm usually like a horrible critic. I'm like, yo, it's trash. It's going to be a good movie. It's written. Like I'm on the fence. Like I go back and forth all the way up into the release of a film. But this is amazingly actually side-splitting, funny movie. And the chemistry, the writing, it is a blockbuster. The thing could have been released in movies and would have sold out on a wonderful like blockbuster weekend. Like without a shadow of a doubt, the crew, the creative team, they knocked this out of the park. And the one thing I do want to add, it is on birdiesthemovie.com. But now you can also get it on Roku, Apple TV, and Vimeo. So we kind of upgraded a little bit. You can find us on more than one platform, but we did start out on our own platform. Nobody had rights to anything, busted out our own website, and we were just like, hey, you guys are going to come find us. But now we've like branched out, so you can find us on a couple things. So we're doing pretty good with the guerrilla style like takeover.
I mean, we'll get into this later on, but like the part that didn't make it seem like an independent movie was like, for me, two parts. Like the cinematography and the editing was just insane. It's so like when you find an independent movie, a lot of times it's like, hey, we're going to film this movie in a room or like this house or like this hallway or some shit. But like this was like, there was so many different sections. It felt like this like super expansive universe that you were watching this movie. And there wasn't just like the bar room with cancer for a ceiling. It was just like a good...
It was just, feeling, man.
It was just like it really came off like I could have easily been sitting in a movie theater just like watching this, and it wouldn't have struck me as like an independent movie.
Never. I agree. The editing quality blew my mind. Everyone I know locally has commented on that. It genuinely is crystal clear. It's a seamless finish. Like the guys did amazing.
The music too. The music, I thought, like all the themes throughout it, I was just like,
yes,
this is so legit. This is so good.
Yeah, no, I love our creative team. Like I love the guys. I did not see it. They did like a private screening before they actually released it, and I wasn't able to go. So my first time seeing it was on the big screen because they rented out a little theater. And I remember I was on the second floor in like the back of the room, which is crazy. I wasn't hiding, but like I was back in the room. And I remember watching it and I was just like, oh my God. And there was a couple times I grabbed one of my friends and I was like, that's me. I mean, not that's me, but like, it's so clear. And like one of my guys I worked with at Thalian Hall, he used to work in the movie industry and stuff. And his only like review was, wow, that was shot like a Marvel movie. And I was like, yeah, no, they did well. He said, no. He's like, it was clear.
Yeah, it's
It
not
was
just
precise.
well.
Yeah, he's like, the music fit, the transitions were good, the credits rolled in. He said, no. He said they put thought behind that. And so that's when the first time I stepped back and I was like, okay, comparing it to a Marvel movie, like that's not undershooting it. Like real life, with the concept of everything that they go into selling that story and then asking you for more, like Birdies did it. Like I definitely left Birdies wanting more. And I was surprised because I don't even like golf.
There has to be a Birdies too.
From your lips to the creator's ears.
Were they mainly actors who were like funny, or were they comedians who were who also acted? A lot of people.
I feel like there was only one comedian. Like Ryan was the only real comedian. Jamie's like a like fly by night comedian, but like professional comedians, like Ryan's the only professional comedian. There was mostly actors, and like 2 or 3 people weren't even actors. They were just golfers who we taught to act. And when I say we taught to act, I mean, we gave them the script the day of and we're like, this is what you're going to say. So no, it was a hodgepodge. It was the true definition of independent film. It was individuals who fit the character, not actors, not comedians, not even good golfers. Oh my God. The very first time I held a golf club was on set. So like, no, they did not recruit you.
Did you think were you a little too back foot heavy, you think, on your swing that showed up on the in the movie?
Yeah, that sounds exactly right. I don't know. Like, so I used to work at a golf course. And when I worked at a golf course, I mean, I attended the bar and I drove the golf cart. So that is what I know about golf prior to this movie. Everything I know about golf, I learned on the film. Yeah, exactly. Like I had great training for my character. But no, they didn't recruit comedians. They didn't recruit golfers. They literally looked at the character requirement and they like looked at the development and what was needed from that character. And every individual was cast for what they could bring to life. No special qualities, except for Carolyn. Carolyn was recruited, which is Emily. Carolyn was recruited because she was a pro golfer. Like she golfed at UNCW. We actually had to wait for her to graduate before she got paid because, you know, like schools have rules about people getting paid for professionalism. And we recruited her for her golfing ability. So we literally had to wait for her to graduate. Thankfully, she was a senior before her check could get cut. So like
Emily, the beer cart girl.
Yeah, Emily, the beer cart girl, who is also the best golfer on our team because she's the only real golfer.
None of this surprises me. I feel like I don't want to step on too much of the plot here, but from watching that scene where everyone's lined up at the driving range, you know, you're going down the line, seeing all these swings, and then you see Emily's swing, you're like, wait a minute, we got something here.
So speaking of funny, like quotes and what have you, her line after that, because everyone's like, oh, you know, she's like one of the best. And she's like, I've been working here for years. What are you all doing? And everyone looks and we're like, yeah, we don't do shit.
Looks like drinking.
And in that scene, that's all we were doing at the time. And she's just saying, they're like, you know, I actually have a job here. So clearly Emily is taking advantage of her employment.
I also was nervous going into the movie because, like, I think a lot of comedies, especially independent comedies, can just be like almost like cringy bad. And this was like, and that's what I thought where I was going to be watching when our friend Liz said to watch this movie. And then it was like complete opposite. It was like, whoa, shit. None of this is like that awful, bad, like independent, only a few people get it type of comedy.
It is universally funny. A lot of the situationships that happen, a lot of the conversational like reflections, everyone's like, dang, I've had that moment.
Yeah.
And you can see yourself or one of your friends that you've rescued in every single moment. Like it's universally relatable.
We'll get to the premise here right now in a second. But cool. I also thought your role as Fred, like it could have easily been like a wet blanket role. And I didn't think it came off that way. Like, it's not like Fred's being like, well, I probably shouldn't do this yet. We should wait till a second.
Okay, cool.
Let's get to the premise.
I'm not a buzzkill, Betty. I am your great white hope.
Right. Yeah. Twin Pines, a failing country club where maintaining a buzz is par for the course, hires a new golf pro to help them get back on track before their rivals at the snooty Magnolia Point puts them out of business for good. You want to get to Bolos?
Yeah, let's do it.
I will kick us off, and it's a simple one, hard to miss, but Bolo, be on the lookout for beer. Hard to miss.
Hard to miss.
Yes. We are sponsored by Swinger Delight. Pick up a swinger. I think my Bolo would be on the lookout for unrecognized relationships. There's a lot of relationships that happen in this movie. So yeah, be on the lookout for things that you genuinely wouldn't expect.
Internet girls? Oh no, app girls. It's different.
All of the above, actually. All of the above. The unquestionable, the questionable, the like, squint your eye. Did you really see that? And then, of course, the ones that you won't talk about on Sunday.
My bolo is watch out, be on the lookout for a trash can full of empties.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Solid. I will say, and this is sort of fitting with our pod, be on the lookout for a VCR.
Yes. Be on the lookout for extraterrestrial inflections.
Ooh, good one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Be on the lookout for surprise parties.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to say be on the lookout for a very short commute.
Yes. Oh God, yes. Be on the lookout for children.
Be on the lookout for popped collars.
Ooh.
Ride the coattails of that one. Be on the lookout for visors. Their very intentional use of visors in this is.
I'm going to take it and I'm going to literally cap you guys. Be on the lookout for frosted tips.
I thought that's not natural.
Oh God, no! Like real life, he did it the day before we filmed. Like, what in the world?
Let's see. I got one more here. Be on the lookout for Chekhov's Club.
Ooh, yes.
Ooh, well done, well done. I had a similar one. I will cross it off the list. I will say, and this is just because I love these. I love whenever they're in a movie. I love using them in real life. But be on the lookout for walkie-talkies.
Yes. Oh my God, they are the greatest. My last one, I guess I could say, be on the lookout for the underdog winning.
It's the best.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get to our last segment before we break to watch the movie. What drink to pair with this movie? I'll go first. I think this is a movie where if I had the DVD, I would have woken up to that like beginner part, that first like 5-second cycle so many times in college, but watching it, I probably would. It's just like probably a case of beer or 30-pack, a couple joints and some buddies. And I think that's the best way to probably watch this movie.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I'm on the exact same page. I just had 12 beers.
Yeah. It's not, you don't want some nice cocktail that you take your time with. It's gotta be something you can hammer down throughout the movie.
Yep. You could probably get some real solid drinking games out of this too, to go along with your 12 beers.
Yeah.
Oh, you can get a lot of really good drinking games. Outside of drinking when they drink, you can do a lot of good drinking games. I will pair it with you, but I'll be specific. You got to have had a nice, pale, slightly warm ale. Because you've definitely forgot about it. You did not put it in ice. Or if you are classy and you're bringing a lady to the engagement, get you some room temperature white wine with one ice cube.
Oh, wow. That is really classy. That's good.
Of course, the bartender obviously has the best tips for us.
Yeah,
there you go. So that's what you drink it with.
No chance you don't enjoy this. Enjoy watching the movie, and we will see you on the other side.
Enjoy.
Charlie, we've got to get this place together.
Twin Pines is a course for normal people. I'll keep it that way.
Dixie Classic Tournament? Ready to lose again?
Twin Pines is losing steam, though.
Is there anyone at this club that knows how to play golf? That was pretty incredible on the range there.
Oh, thanks, man.
I want you to be my golf pro.
Welcome to hell.
All right, folks, balls, teed up.
Seems Twin Pines has hired a new golf pro.
Jake Baxter?
I haven't seen you since you were being a loser.
My club against your club. Winner take all.
This is childish.
We lose the tournament. We lose the money. We lose the club. We lose our job.
It's that time of year again, folks. What are Jake Baxter's chances, John? And what does this competition look like this year?
Oh. Are these guys for real?
Slept On Cinema is brought to you by Training Ties, the ultimate shoe tying tool. If you know anyone who's struggling with shoe tying, Training Ties is the perfect solution. Or if you know anyone who just doesn't like tying their shoes, Training Ties keeps shoes tied all day long. Say no to Velcro and yes to independence with Training Ties. Welcome back. That was awesome.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Just an amazing movie out of nowhere. Still no reviews somehow on Rotten Tomatoes. soon enough, this movie will not qualify for a podcast.
That's why we're doing it beforehand.
Right,
This is like
before.
one of those haterade sessions. We're just letting y'all know what to hate, what to love, and then bam.
We always let our guests go first. Always let our guests go first in the draft.
Y'all are so chivalrous.
So, all right, Lily, you're up. What would you draft as your favorite aspect of this movie? Birdies.
Wow. Okay. So like grand scale, I think my favorite aspect is generally the writing. It paints a story. It brings you in. It identifies and builds real life relatable characters. And at the end, it ties things up very nicely. Of course, it leaves you wanting more because a good movie should. But as far as the story and the narrative, you're actually content with the ending that you're given. You're like, wow, okay, cool. This kind of worked out for people at play. So biggest selling point for me is the writing of the story.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I thought the ending was awesome. The writing was spectacular. Stan, we did a movie Paycheck a few episodes ago with Ben Affleck, and they had at the end they won a lottery ticket, and I was like, every movie should have like a lottery ticket ending because it's fun. And this movie basically had, without a lottery ticket, like a lottery ticket ending. Like people get rich, someone's pregnant, everyone's happy, people are kissing. Like it was just like a happy ending.
Yeah.
I thought the writing was good too because as raunchy as it was, I thought it was a very sweet, like kind-hearted movie, which was like, it wasn't just raunchy. There was more to it than that.
More than slapstick comedy, but not so grotesque that you're just like, what are you laughing at?
Lily, you mentioned this before too, that it felt like a lot of the conversations that were on screen were conversations that were very relatable. They were conversations you've had, maybe not that exact conversation, but basically that conversation you've had 100 times with your friends, for better or worse.
Yeah, definitely. You could see yourself or someone you intimately know in almost everyone on the screen. Like it was very, very calmly relatable.
All right, Stan, you're up.
All right. Well, this is kind of a strategic pick just because I know this is something that Grobe often picks. So I'm just going to have to take it. Maybe it's a reach, but I'm doing it anyway. I brought this up before, but the music, I just loved all the music in the movie from the get-go, right? When that first opening scene all the way through, it sort of carries you from all the different scene to scene. It's perfect. I thought it was, as we talked about before, I could not believe this was an independent film. Everything seemed just so professional and so perfectly done. It blew me away.
Definitely had a mind-blowing soundtrack. I am a Taurus, so music resonates with my being. I liked how they use music not just to capitalize and capture you, but the transitions were fluid. Like these songs, the elements, even the snippets that they used underlying things, nothing was overpowering or took away from any scene.
Definitely wasn't overpowering, and I thought it just accentuated every scene. The music was awesome. That little like that like little riff that was just always around. It was just like it's one of those like pleasant things you hear. It's like Always Sunny. You hear it, you're like, oh, this is a great time.
And I like how you related to that because it is like it pops up and it like kind of grabs you back in because it's scattered throughout the movie. Like that little it's scattered. So even if you're at a point like there's like a little stagnant moment, which I couldn't find a stagnant moment, but I always give someone out there's a moment that dwelled, but like that brings you right back in and you're like heads on a swivel and you're like, oh wait, it's happening again.
I gotta get ready for the next joke.
Exactly. Like you're starting to gear up and prepare and it's not gonna be like, aha, but you're there because you want to catch it. No, it was beautiful. They definitely seasoned it well.
All right, my pick here. I think I'm going to go with Jake's his first day, his surprise party when they were all ready, and he comes in like the back door. He talks to like the greens keeper,
Inhale.
Yeah. But then like he's getting mad at him, and then he's like, "No, unless you hired two, I think it's me." And then we get to meet the whole crew, and like you get led around to meet every character. Including Fred and like the two guys in the couch you don't really want to get to know. Nick crushes the scene, and then he gets to see, like as part of it, I guess I'm stealing this too, when he gets to go like, oh no, you have an office, and it's similar. Yeah, he just like walks over to the office and just stands there. He said you have your own office, and then he's like, didn't you say I have my own office? No, I didn't say that. And it's just like a little desk with a joint in it. I just thought the whole it was just amazing. The whole like surprise in the movie was just awesome.
I love that they had already done the piñata too. Like, oh, we got a piñata, but we already did that.
Yeah, he's like, it's a piñata. What are you gonna do? Like, let it fucking sit there?
Yeah, and that's what they're like. We can't just wait. I'm like, but can you? No, the desk was awesome because it was his office. It was a whole office in an unfinished golf club, like clubhouse. The stowaway joint was the greatest thing in the world. Like we just popped it open. And I remember when we filmed it the first time, Ryan was like, is that a, and we looked like, it is. I'm gonna save that for later. So there was a lot of things in the movie that we found that like real life, like we found them, like not all of the time were they like planted there. We just like walked into the scene, did it. We're like, hey, we are keeping that. So no, it was beautiful. Ryan definitely expected way, way more from us than he got. And it was a beautiful, beautiful joy to watch his bubble get burst.
For you finally had someone, or for Fred, who was like, hey, guy, this is crazy that you've all been drinking since 6:30 in the morning. Like you had somebody else there to be like, this, I'm not being a jerk, guys. Like this is a little bit nuts.
Yo, I lived in the freaking Twilight Zone until he showed up. I'm just looking at everyone. I was like, he's like, it's 9 a.m. I'm like, yeah, it's 9. Can you say it again? And everyone's over there like slamming back their second shot of the day. And I'm like, at least I got one sober person. Like I work with one individual that will not drink.
All right,
which is crazy.
I got to go back to back here.
Let's do it.
There's so many choices. I don't know why I brought it up, I guess, in the beginning, but maybe I should have saved this as a sleeper pick. But in the beginning of the movie, when the one dude in the golf cart hits the barrel of empties and then the owner hits it too, every single time I see that, I don't know what it is. I just giggle. I've seen that. I've watched this 6 times getting ready. And it's just like, I'm just imagining like trying to pull it off. Like you got to bump this in a certain way. And then I come crashing through and I hit it again. I didn't expect it. But I thought that was just a really funny scene.
So for me, that scene was hilarious because, as you know, Fred is the bartender and everyone I work with is drunk like 24 hours a day. So for them to be returning the carts, and mind you, like that scene, like I'm talking to Conroy and I'm telling him to get his ass to work and he's already late for God knows what. So he comes flying in, zhoosh, after Shansky already hits the thing. They just look at each other like, oh. And then they just continue watering the carts off like nothing in the world happened. And they're just like, I'm going to troll up to work. And so for me, that's like literally Fred's day to day. Like I work with a bunch of drunks that as long as they don't tip the can over, they think it's a good day. Right. And in Fred's head, I'm just like, no, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Why do I have a barrel of cans? Like that's my concept, because if you watch the movie, you're pretty sure those barrel of cans are literally probably from the past hour. Like that's no way they were actually taking out the trash. Because also, if you look at the clubhouse, clearly no one cleans up but me. So Fred's life is just collecting a bunch of junk and dealing with these wonderful men who I pray to God don't knock my junk over. That's all I'm hoping for.
It was also great because it was sort of a very brief scene, but in that one scene, you instantly knew that this is not some special day that everyone's hammered. This is so routine and everything about it was so casual that you're like, well, clearly this is how every single day all year works.
We're not that golf course. We're that golf course.
Regular folk.
I will take for my second pick as the only golfer on this podcast right now. I'm just going to go. I'm going to go with unpretentious golf courses. Twin Pines was really my kind of golf course. It was just, you roll in, people have a good time. You don't need to be wearing something fancy. You don't need to be doing, whatever. People are just there to have a good time, whatever that means to them. And that, you hang out with your friends, you have a few beers, you spend an afternoon or a morning or whatever it is. And it's great. Growing up, there was a golf course near me that we used to go to a lot. That was sort of a similar vibe. And it only had 14 holes, which, it's like when you're playing golf, who really cares how many holes you have? But it would keep away all the serious people who were like, no, a golf course has to have 18 holes. This isn't real golf. Sure, it's real golf. We're still playing golf. We're still hanging out.
There's a chance Torrey Pines on some days had only 14 holes because the caution tape, it was hard to get to all the holes.
Yeah, remember we also grew cactuses on one of our holes. So like there was a whole hole that was like completely shut off to the world. So like we definitely did not have a full 18. But I like how you brought that up because there is a scene that Conroy talks about. One of the reasons why it's so important to fight for Twin Pines and to keep it alive and functioning is because, his dad built it and it was built on a legacy of whatever, but also it was the common man's golf course. Like we weren't around for the pretentious and the richity and the uppity. We wanted everyone to have the opportunity to enjoy golf. And I feel like between Fred and Conroy, even though Twin Pines at the start of the movie was failing and had a lot of hiccups, still in its heart of its hearts, including our motley crew like we represented, the common man, and we did recruit and we did look for and open our doors for anyone. Even going all the way to like later in the movie when we brought Khalil on because he had a really horrible situationship with our counter golf course, which a lot of individuals experience, unfortunately, even in 2022, like racial discrimination and some of like the hierarchies or places that people feel like, they're the gatekeepers. Oh, this belongs to the elites, which, a lot of people would associate golf as like, oh, that's a rich man's sport. Not even like colorism, but it's like, oh, it's a rich man's sport. So for Twin Pines to bring Khalil on as one of like our superstars later on in the film, it kind of resembles a lot of things about its core values. Like we wanted to be accessible. We wanted it to be for every common man. We wanted people to feel comfortable going there. So yeah, like, not gonna lie, Twin Pines is a crap show and Birdies is like a slapstick comedy, and we want you to be like lighthearted. But there was a lot of underlying things about like acceptance and about, standing up for things that you believe in, and what are you willing to gamble or what are you willing to put on the line, and what are you willing to accept. And that's one thing that I did find with the counter arguments for the other golf course. Like the lady, when Khalil got turned away, like you visibly saw like she was disturbed by that. And so that was like one of her crowning moments. It redeemed her. You're just like, oh, okay, so things bothered you. So, as funny as Birdies is, there is a lot of intimate moments that have you taking that moment of pause. And that's why I was like, I love an underdog. Like I love a good underdog winning. And Twin Pines is like obvious underdog, but in so many elements, it is the redeemable underdog. Like I said, they stood up for racial discrimination. They have like a mass majority of women working there. There's a lot of elements about its existence that is still like a hiya, where we're here for the bigger whole. And I loved the underdog interludes. Like it was a lot of things that was very, very reassuring.
It was like everyone was so different that worked there. Hopefully I don't step on anyone's toes here on other picks, but like everyone was united on that in Torrey Pines. Like as weird as everyone was and as crazy as shit as they had going on in their life, no one was ever like, fuck that guy. Everyone like loved everyone that worked there, that belonged to it. It didn't matter what, even when like Jake was like, well, I don't want to get on this, but he told the story about like what would happen if you had a beer. And then Nick's like, oh no, we would love that.
Yeah, exactly. like they accept you unapologetically. That's what, like, it's the band of misfits. Like we were the island of misfit toys.
Just don't be pretentious and you're cool.
Basically, we just don't want you to be a prude. We love you in all of your broken ways. Just please, dear God, don't be uptight.
All right, you got a sleeper pick here.
My sleeper pick, oh gosh, y'all guys like summarized so many sleeper picks. Honestly, my sleeper pick is Conroy, because starting out, Conroy is everything you fucking expect Conroy to be. Like he is stuck in his ways. He's obviously a drunk. He is persnickety, but I think what a lot of people don't expect is his endearing quality. I mean, of course, he wants to save Twin Pines. Like we get that overlooked, but he cares about people individually. Like he cares about like Fred. Like he actually has an endearing moment when Fred like visits him in the hospital. It's funny because it's got to be a comedy, but like there's a moment like you got to make it laugh. But like he has conversations where you see that there is a moment of fleeting mortality, and Conroy like shakes there. And so then every moment after that, you see him attempting to have healthier relationships. You see him attempting to redeem himself. No, Conroy's going to be a drunk until the day he dies. And that's what we love about Conroy. But there's qualities, and then there's moments that he reflects upon. And so like, I think Conroy is slept on. I love Conroy, and I definitely, like, Jake is obviously the star of the show, but Conroy, for him to represent, especially in this dynamic, like an older generation and someone who in all shakes of the world is scared to lose a lot. Like, I mean, that's why he's online dating. Like he knows his like, building may be disappearing. Like he's about to lose everything that he calls family. He risks and gambles so much for those exact same people that he calls family because he's Conroy. So yeah, Conroy is definitely slept on.
That's a great pick.
Thank you.
All right, my sleeper pick. So I also worked at a golf course back when I was in high school for a summer, and this was sort of near and dear to my heart right here. I'm taking the cash tip left on the cart for the cart washers. Love that. That's just an A+ move. Not once did I ever get a tip on a golf cart, but that would have been fantastic. Even if it was only $2, that would have just made my day. So Love that move. Thought that should just be more. That should be a routine thing that happens.
That's a great.
I never got tipped on a golf cart either, and I totally had to park all the golf carts at the end of the night. So I feel you, man.
Yeah, you got to park them. You got to I had to wash them, which would take hours. They'd be filthy. It's like the most thankless task.
Yeah, that $2 would have went a long way.
All right, I'll finish off the draft here. I think I'm going to take the couple in bed fight between Jake and Brandy.
Oh,
I thought that pleasure yourself off against each other, and like clearly Jake is like, oh no, this is better, and he's like trying to get back at her. I just thought that was absolutely amazing.
This is better had to be one of the best lines.
This is better was just the top 10 line of this movie.
God, I forgot about that. Oh God, that was actually golden. I think. Yeah, no, that was golden. I'm gonna have to throw in like a little tag team on that. I think when like Jake gets kicked out of the house and she puts the dildo right there, that shit was like
that was great.
Exactly,
and also
like,
when he came home that day and she was trying to time the sip of her last sip of wine and her throw, and she had to like cock back a couple times because you didn't quite get there enough, and then she finally let it go because she thought she was gonna hit him.
Oh yeah. That's definitely like my overtime pick. That shit was hilarious. Like him coming home, that whole like wrap up scene from the wine.
Yeah. No, I was cheating on you. Oh, a secretary.
Yeah, he was like, oh, she's so dirty. Oh, in the office, and she's like, yeah, what were you really doing? You're not cheating.
Hanging out of my pocket again, wasn't it?
Exactly. And also, that's like real life. Like that's such a dude move. Like, if you're going to put it in your pocket, like tuck it all the way in your pocket, please.
All right. I'm excited for this best of. Let's do superlative, or not best of, sorry, favorite celebration. So, Lily, you're up first.
Oh, I'm always going to go for the women, but especially if the women knock this shit out the park. So, our catty girl, like when she stroked that, bam, she pulled her hand out of her pocket, put on lipstick with her middle finger, and a little fucking kiss. Tell me that's not gold.
And I think she dropped the club. She dropped the club at the same moment.
She threw it. She like tossed it to the side. So like backstory being the fact she's only the best fucking golfer on the show. That was the creme de la creme of like a celebration. And that was like unscripted. She did that shit herself. And I just literally was in the back. I was like, fangirling as quiet as I could because like I was mic'd.
Yeah, she did it so deadpan too. That was great.
So serious. Like we didn't even need to take two. I mean, we of course shot it a couple times, but that first one we were all just like I remember looking everywhere like, did she just do that? Like you had that moment of acceptance and then straight celebration. They're like, okay, cool. But because it's a movie, we got to do like two more times.
So mine, and this is maybe taking some liberties with the category. But this is sort of, I guess, a celebration of just real life, I suppose. So this is back in the scene where everyone's at the driving range, you're seeing what everyone's got. And one of the guys who's kind of useless, I'm forgetting his name, but where he takes the sort of swing and it's just totally out of control, and his wallet falls out of his pocket rolling away in slow motion. That was just such a it was a celebration of exactly who that guy is. Like such
it was his character.
Move.
Yeah, the wallet falling out was like the best attention to detail. He just like, oh shit, yep, I know who that is now.
It's like, you know what? Never mind.
He's been on like an 8-day bender, but like 9 days before that. So he's just like completely off his rocker.
It was just
we all know somebody like that.
Yep.
Oh,
absolutely.
We've all seen that. Exactly.
And maybe have been that here and there.
Right.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I didn't make it to college without one of those days.
Favorite celebration. Maybe we can do a little honorable mention afterwards. We don't miss much, but I think the Hadouken, the original one, and then like the payback by Jake later on, like, oh, from before he did that, right? Like that Hadouken, exactly. Like that first one. Plus the stepbrother, not stepbrother, but the evil.
The Jamie's character, Jamie with the blonde spike hair.
Yeah, the blonde spike hair. Like he looks like an anime character. So when he does that, like he looks like he's straight out of Street Fighter when he does that.
That was a lot of hairspray. A lot of hairspray.
You dye your hair more blonde?
He's like, no, it's natural.
Yeah. Just honorable mentions though. I thought the flute jig by Nick was phenomenal. The party boy beer shower I thought was great. The same guy, that shot made my dick hard. I thought that was awesome.
Please tell me we love the celebratory vomit because he could not hold his beer.
The vomit was amazing. And Emily's billiards play. That was pretty good.
Yeah, when she like shot a pool. Yeah. And also she does play pool too. So like again, we got a really talented female.
All right. We have a couple other favorites on this one too, because this is so much. But do we have a favorite character outside of Fred? Because I almost touched on this too much before we started, but I thought Fred's character was great. It kind of brought everyone back to reality without being the like obvious like female wet blanket. That wasn't the case at all, which can easily happen as a trap in some of these movies. Fred's like, I'm ready to get down, guys, but like it's fucking 9 a.m. Can we just wait a little bit and I'll join you guys after? Like, it's not a wet blanket. Like, she's cool with everyone, but just can we do our work for a little bit first?
Yeah, I loved Fred because like I resonated with her very, very well. I work with predominantly men, which was beautiful. Emily was like there and there, but you gotta remember, like she was outside and I was like definitely holding down the interior. So I felt like the mom of the group. I was like, I got to make sure the bills are paid, make sure all the lights are turned on, make sure everyone has food, but also let's do work, y'all. So, I mean, as much as I love myself, Fred definitely wasn't my favorite character, surprisingly. Emily, I think, was one of my favorite characters because of what she represented, being the fact she was not your stereotypical, golfette, as what I call like our female golfers. She was an ethnic minority. She also was badass. She also drove the beer cart. And she had this such cool kick-ass attitude that was understated. Like, even when we found out that she was a great golfer, her retort was like, I've been working here for years. What do you expect? What do you do? And everyone's just like, ooh, burn.
Yeah.
Like, you want to lick your
good
finger,
point.
like, and then also,
it wasn't like thanks, guys. That's so nice of you. She's like, obviously, I would be doing this.
Exactly. Like, she's got sass, but also, like, when we take it back, when we first meet her, like, Nick's like, she's got a hot sister and he doesn't care about it. She's like, yeah, move on. Like, she's very, very sure of herself. I love the fact that she does represent a minority. So, like, always minorities in film make me happy that actually have speaking roles. But then, like, her coming around, like, she was a dope person. She obviously led us strong in the playoffs. She had such really cool comebacks. Like I said, her celebration one with the pool and her lipstick. I think she represented a very strong earthly female without it like being in your face, like, female empowerment. Because as much of a female I am, I hate shit like that where you camp it up and it's just all like, yay. No, she was very subtle, but she's not someone you forget. Like, even you gentlemen, like some of your celebrations, like, no, like that billiards, like, so there were parts about her that you're not going to forget, but also she didn't like overtake the movie. So it's like all in your face. I love the way she was written and the way she delivered it. Favorite character.
I can't believe she wasn't an actress. That was awesome. Such a great performance.
She was like a finance major or some craziness. Like, I have no idea. Like, this girl was not in school for acting. We recruited her because she was an amazing golfer.
That's so sick.
She like lives in Raleigh and has like a real ass adult job now. Like, she's living her adult life.
Yeah, I don't doubt that in like 20 years from now, like, hey, whatever happened with that actress? When I look back, she's like running the world or something like that.
She's going to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company and she's going to like have a debut in Birdies too. She's like, I did that acting stunt. And I'm here for it. Like, I am going to hype her up every time. Like, yo, girl, you remember that movie?
She'll be a CEO, but also like crack up her entire staff.
She should, because she's quirky and cute and smart as shit.
All right, Stan.
So maybe this is a sleeper pick for this, but I just loved Conroy's doctor. Like, he walked on screen and
he was a real doctor.
That's the thing. I was like, oh my God, this guy, his bedside manner was perfect. I was like, he is a doctor. So this guy's Craig Newkirk. I looked him up on IMDb. And this is in 2021. He also played a doctor in 2 other movies. He played a doctor in The Eyes of Tammy Faye. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but that's an awesome film. And then he was an EMT in Halloween Kills, both in 2021.
So,
what?
I'm
just so I've seen Halloween Kills because it was also filmed here in Wilmington. So like, had to see it.
It's amazing. And this guy clearly has nailed this role perfectly, because that whole scene was, I was like, this man definitely has a medical degree. He is a doctor, 100%. He was just great. And he didn't get much time on screen, but he was just perfect.
That's a phenomenal.
The edit was wonderful because the time on screen it took to shoot that.
My favorite. I got to go with Nick. I thought Nick was just hilarious.
I love Nick.
I'll use this as a little segue. Do you think Fred's relationship with Nick started when he did that roundhouse kick to Adrian, I think, of the other team? Is that when it started, or do you think something was bubbling before?
Because I love me.
One of you like, oh, she'll be calling out my name later or whatever, and then Nick's like, nah. It just kicked him right in the chest out of nowhere.
So because I love Fred so much, and there's so much about her I relate to, I refuse to believe that she fell in love with a guy just because he protected her.
Okay, cool.
I think he protected her because there was some like undercover loving happened prior to that. And as calm and crazy and drunk as Nick is, he is never going to let someone disrespect someone. Like he definitely is a good soul. Like he protects women. He stands up for like the right and wrong. He's a complete joke, but he's a really good man, and chivalry is not dead within him. So I do think that his roundhouse kick was more out of protection for his girl, but also like chivalry is not dead. Like he would have protected anyone, but yeah, no, I think Nick and Fred have had a thing going on for a hot minute.
And Nick is also
like him, just like
Nick's also like super aware of everyone else and their feelings all the time. Like that part when the Chekhov's club that I joked about earlier, like he like the 2-iron and Nick's already there. He's like, I got you. And Jake's like, even if I don't hit the shot, that was great that we had that thing. Like it was just like he's always there with the robe afterwards, just coming out of nowhere. Like he's always thinking of others first. I just thought Nick, but that goes to like the backbone of the movie. It's a very sweet movie with a lot of heart where everyone has each other's backs, and it can be, you can see it one way and be like, oh, this is just some raunchy movie where they have dildos and say fuck, but it's not just about that.
Exactly. That's what's like the human connections and relationships and the underlying support is so deep because like Nick for a lot of intents and purposes is pitched as the comedic relief. He is the guy that's going to make sure that the scene is funny. But if you look at him inside of those moments and you look at him in his relationships with all of the characters, he's probably the most attentive person. I mean, yes, Fred is on it and she pays attention and takes care of things, but that's by design. That's by nature. But Nick knows people. He has a connection. He has a relationship with every single one on the staff. And I love that about him. And like I said, that attunes to the writing. It's so much deeper than just a funny golf movie. There's real stories. There's relatable situationships. You can see something inside of everything that transpires. And that's what makes Birdies such a good movie. It's not just a movie. It's something you can feel and not just like relate to, but like you feel this movie.
And he just, he's always worried about cutting you off too. Which is nice.
100%. Because like, that's why I said, like, we've been dating for a while because real life, like as much as, we've been dating for a while. He's hyper aware that he cuts me off and he just like stands there. He's like, but this, that's where I cut you off right there. So that's why I said, oh no, Fred, we've been together for a minute.
All right. We got a couple more quick segments here. Let's do favorite quote. I'll go first real quick. I thought...
I'll do last. You guys go first. I'll do last.
I liked... If I Did That to You, I thought was hilarious when Jake was getting kicked out of the house. It's like, you can't do that, man. It's not how that works. It's not if I did that to you. You can't... that doesn't apply here. I just thought it was great. And he knew it didn't apply either. He was just saying it.
He was just throwing things. He's like grasping for straws.
I'm going to go with, this is in the beginning of the film where Jake and Nick are talking to each other. And then when he first shows up to, kill the roaches at the course, and they're sort of shooting the shit, getting to know each other a little bit. And Nick is sort of like, talking about roaches and that in the Amazon, it's a premonition of death. He sort of says like, well, who do you think is going to die? And that goes sort of back and forth and they have some banter there. And Jake just comes back with, well, I'll send the bill as soon as possible, just in case. And it was just sort of like such a subtle, like perfectly timed, perfectly funny line that someone it's almost like one of those lines you wish you had said later on. You're like, oh, I should have said that. That would have been so good. But he just nails it. And it's like, it's not like in your face, ha funny, but it's just like really funny.
So I asked to close it because this is probably completely off limits, but like, my favorite line is actually my line that I say when I say welcome to hell, because it's so foreboding but it's also the first time I'm meeting Jake and we're doing this introduction and all this shit. And like in the scene, like I'm picking up trash and I'm looking over and I'm like, yeah, welcome to hell. And then as the scene rolls on, like he's like questioning the 9 a.m. drinking. And then like we literally go through like a raucous amount of crap in the movie. And so as foreboding as it is, it's welcoming because I'm just like smiling as I say it. I'm like, yeah, welcome to hell.
That was a great one. I got 2 quick honorable mentions. I liked what color is the ceiling? Cancer. I like that. And then when Adrian asked, I think Jake, like, what's my handicap? He's like, I don't know, your personality. Like I thought that was great.
Yeah, Adrian had a lot of really good quips. That was beautiful.
He was a great villain. It was just like he was like the almost like Ben Stiller from Dodgeball, like over the top, but perfect at the same way.
Like he was designed for you to hate him, but then you look at him and you're just like, but you're just so sweet.
But he has a great heart. Like another thing, like even at the end, when they're making fun of his dad being passed out with the dudes and he's like raking, he's like, well, he's what is it? Like he's happy.
At least he's happy. So that's what I was going to say. That was my honorable mention. I'm glad you brought that up because that was my honorable mention. I was like, at the end of it all, when everything's like complete crap and Adrian's like literally like shoveling and raking and they're on the walkie that we talked about, like God bless the walkie. So I'm a technician by trade. I love a good walkie. But I remember that scene and I was just like, oh, because like through all this shit, like humble moment, like Adrian's literally like taking care of a rundown golf course and he's getting radioed about having to clean up his father. And he could say a lot of things, but he's just like, leave him alone. At least he's happy. And I'm just like, aw, Adrian, like, yeah, your dad is happy, passed out naked with another man. But you know what? He's happy. So yeah, that was my like slept over or overtime recruit. Like that was one of my favorite quotes. At least he's happy.
Good. All right. I think we have spin-off ideas left.
Yeah, without a doubt. So like I've like brainstormed this and I probably just jumped in because like I've been thinking on this for too long.
That's perfect.
But as we all watched the movie, we saw that like Nick and I say I as in Fred, have like a little bun in the oven and things because apparently Nick and I are not drinking. And like when I say Nick and I mean I'm not drinking, Nick is still drinking. He just says we're not drinking. She's not drinking. She's pregnant.
You had a water at the end.
I mean, for like a second, like, but y'all know he took someone else's beer. Like, let's think of the movie plot. But no, so like concise spinoff idea, real of the real. Nick and I have a baby. Obviously, the baby comes out, but he's like a superstar golfer that maybe Jake and Emily train more Emily than Jake, but he is our pro, so we're going to give him credit. And then, of course, like Jake and his wife, well, fiance become wife, and we run like a joint Twin Pines, Magnolia, whatever it was, Magnolia Point, like cross country golf course. But what the focus is mine and Nick's child is the next golf phenom. So we're not famous, but my child's famous.
I like it.
Do we get the rest of the crew in there, like aged up a little bit?
We want everybody back, like, because Twin Pines is a family, and Magnolia Point, obviously, all we did was spread our family over there. Yeah, no, without a shadow of a doubt, like, we have to have the entire family back. Like, Shaneski and them, they have to raise my kid. Obviously, they're the uncle. I'm clearly running Twin Pines, so someone's got to take care of my children. So, like, I'll just give them to the grasskeeper. And Ajo's got him on, like, the best medicinal, like, routine in the world. Like, I don't know. But the kid's going to be, like, the greatest. That's all I know. It's about the kid.
Yeah, he hits his hole in one, like, at 13 when Jake waited till he was like 30 to have his.
Exactly. And the only reason why I say it's got to be about the kid, because like out of the entire movie plot, why in the hell is Fred pregnant at the end? Like that has nothing to do with nothing unless the second is about this child.
That's true. Like they put it in at the end just to get ready for the sequel.
Like they literally had us come and film one day, and like we filmed like 2 or 3 date scenarios with Nick and I, and we were just like, what is this? And then like we realized, oh shit, we're in a relationship. So yeah, if you're gonna attach that onto the end, the second one's got to be about the baby.
That's probably one of the better spin-off ideas we've had so far on this podcast. All right, Stan, what do you got?
So this comes from there were just so many great characters in this film. And, you know, it's a comedy. You're sort of working within the constraints of time, but I wanted to get to know so many more of these characters. So my spin-off idea here is to do more of like a a TV show spinoff, sort of like I don't know if you guys have seen Party Down. It was like I don't know, from 5-10 years ago, and it's sort of each it was about a catering company, and each episode was like a different party. So I'm like, here maybe you could do something like that, where each episode's like they're hosting a different tournament or something like that, and each episode you sort of get the viewpoint of a different character, so you get to know a little bit more of the backstory, you get to know a little bit more of some of the different relationships, and just give me 10 episodes of that. I'd love to see.
I love that. I mean, there was enough characters. You could definitely do a 10-episode run.
It's like we saw, like, we started off with like the Avengers, and now we get all like the sequels about all the characters after that.
Yeah, like the storyline to the life that created the overarching story.
That would be awesome. Mine is, let's see, I want somehow like some sort of like big national business to come in, like a big national like PGA to come in and like attempt to buy afterwards Torrey Pines and Magnolia Point, but they're trying to like fend off the big national business who have no personality, and Magnolia Point people and Torrey Pines people, somehow a dumb bet was made with the big business or whatever, like, you go away and or you get our clubs, and Torrey Pines and Magnolia Point have to like, so now Adrian and Jake are on the same team, and we get like two of the best players, and maybe like Emily and somebody else from the other crew like work together now. And just like Torrey Pines, where everyone was on the same side, there's not really any bickering anymore. They're all like have a united front against the vague villains who are from outside of, North Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're the outsiders. At least like Magnolia Point, they were awful, but they were local.
Yeah. No, that could totally work, because like Twin Pines won Magnolia Point in the end. So like technically we became a big family. So we've got like Adrian, we've got Jake, we got Emily, and we got Khalil. Remember, Khalil was in our last one.
Of course.
So we've got 4 dope ass pros that could go against big business, and we just support local, keep things like here at home. Maybe
Party Boy shows up on the other side again and passes.
Oh, of course, he did, because he's like sponsored. Like he shows up with them because he's sponsored by them. Oh, 100%, I could see that happening. And he has this whole entourage.
Yeah, the entourage was phenomenal.
Oh my God. And so then Adrian would be pitted against him, and he was like one of Adrian's BFFs. Bam, there's the dilemma.
Maybe he holds a little grudge because he passed out. His dad lost his golf course because he wasn't able to play anymore, and it was 4-on-3.
Yes, 100%. And then social media is a thing, and he got embarrassed, so he's coming back for retribution. Oh no, that's a coming of age story. Like, we got that.
Do we have anything else before we finish up here? Anything we didn't get to?
Go watch it, subscribe it, share it, tell everyone to watch it again, because it's funny as crap.
Yeah, it was such an unexpected. I mean, Grobe introduced it to me, and I obviously never heard of it. It was just such a fun surprise. It was just a great way to spend a couple hours. Highly recommend. I
feel like when you start the movie versus when you end it, you're always in a better mood at the end of the movie, which I really love about movies. Like when you put it on, no matter what mood you're in, it's gonna make it exponentially. You're gonna feel exponentially better afterwards because you've had some laughs. It's very sweet. It's very kind, and then it's just like, it all got wrapped up in a nice bow at the end. Very, very good movie. Loved it.
So one of the things I love about that, and both of your statements like resonate with that, they intentionally, again, like wrapping it around just so our viewers and listeners know, like it's an independent film. Like it was filmed here in Wilmington, like all the businesses, the people, we're just a bunch of local Joes. But it doesn't give that vibe at all. Like it surpasses all of those expectations. And the way they did their marketing is not like your traditional independent films. Like a lot of people like hit the festival circuits and they do their awareness of that. They completely guerrilla style marketed. They got their own streaming platform prior to being opened up and accepted to other platforms. Like we started the podcast, like you mentioned, it was on birdies.com the movie, or excuse me, birdiesthemovie.com. But like now we're like on Roku. Now we're like on other platforms. And so that's something that I'm very, very proud of. Like I said, our guys and their team, the way they did about it, they wanted to make sure that they were able to control the narrative as much as possible. So it didn't get like watered down and it didn't get into the wrong hands. And one of the things our local media said was, it's an independent film doing things independently. Like they are literally going outside of the box. And I think that resonated all the way down to, like I said, their casting, how they went about recruiting the familial bond. Like it wasn't faked relationships on screen. Like we were laughing and that like quirky off camera as we were on camera. It was a beautiful process. And then when we did our red carpet debut here at home, and then all the way up into them getting the marketing and the streaming, it's all been very, very independently done. And like I said, it's completely outside of the box. It's a movie that was written and shot that's outside of the box of expectations. It was operated, run, and marketed outside of the box of expectations. And every single person I've talked to that's watched it, they're like, dude, I did not expect that. So this is a movie that's going to pleasantly surprise you, and you're going to want to tell somebody about it. I don't care if you like golf or if you like comedy. This movie's going to be something for you.
It's a golf movie about golf that isn't about golf. Like, I'm not a golf guy,
100%.
but it didn't even matter. Like, all you have to do is be aware that golf exists, and you're like, all right, I'm in.
Yep. Just accept that it's a movie about a sport and then keep it going.
Exactly. Do you have anything else coming up?
So I actually just wrapped up with a film. I have a movie coming out. It's called Heart and Soul Food. It's actually coming out May 2nd. So crap, in like 3 days. Whew, yes. So it's a movie about like a whole Mother's Day situation. 3 daughters are fighting for their mother's attention without knowing that their mother's fighting for her life. So it's kind of one of those like tear jerkers, humbles you for a minute. And that comes out on May 2nd.
What was it called again? Sorry.
Heart and Soul Food.
Heart and Soul Food. Awesome. Well,
Heart and Soul Food.
Well, from now on, I guess we'll premiere all your movies here because that was a ton of fun. Thank you so much, Lily and Nicole, for coming on, and that was a lot of fun. Go see Birdies.
It was awesome. Great guest. Inaugural famous celebrity guest.
I love it. You two are a blast. Birdies is a blast. So obviously, everyone go watch Birdies. Like, this is great. But also, like, real life, if you're not like subscribing to the podcast, subscribe and follow so you can get like updates for new podcasts. You can have like other dope artists. Like, I mean, not as dope as me, but you know, you can get people up here to talk about their own things. But without a shadow of a doubt, like, subscribe, follow, share. This is a great listen for like a brief hour of your time.
Awesome. All right, later.
Nice to see you guys.